Welcome to another episode of the Johanna Trier User Group's ISV series. Today I'm honored to welcome back Martijn Schwärzer. And the tool we are presenting is Sliced Bread ETL. Today we are going to focus on data cleansing. And this is in collaboration with the Veracruz, Mexico user group. And actually the Data Matters global group. Thank you so much for doing this. The structure, we will have 3 parts. So Martijn will give us an intro on the subject, then he will do a live demo, that's the majority. And for the Q&A, please use the Q&A channel. You can also raise your hand in between and note in your question whether you want to ask it yourself maybe. Yeah, so let's go. Martijn, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Renee. And thanks for having us back. I'll start by sharing the screen. I do have a short presentation for today, but 90% will be actual demo and doing things and not listening to me. So that's a good thing. A little bit about me. We've been here before, so I'm going to slide through this slide. I'm the CEO of Sliced Bread. I've been in the ecosystem since 2011, and basically we thought that handling data in large volumes, especially related to data imports and data cleansing, could be done a lot better, and that's why we built Sliced Bread. I dove deeply into that in our previous session, and I want to give a short recap. So I already mentioned why we built it. In the last session, I highlighted the common large data use cases and the challenges they bring and how we solve those. How do we do that? We have a native Salesforce application which is distributed through the AppExchange. And what do we do? In short, data imports, data exports, data cleansing, data conversion in very large amounts, data sets. Last time I showed how to import a CSV file and how to handle any errors that might occur. But today we're going to focus on data cleansing. So this is an entirely different use case. We're going to stay inside the Salesforce platform, so no data is coming from outside or is going outside. And I've prepared 4 use cases for you today. This is not the... Oh, yeah. So first, let me walk you through the org. We have a lot of accounts, almost 350,000, and they all have data issues. The same goes for contact. We don't have data issues there, but we need to change a few things. So that's also about 350,000 records. And then we have 120,000 opportunities that we need to update. So in short amounts or in small chunks of data, that's very doable with point and click flows. But if you get into the large amounts, you're going to need a professional tool. So that's kind of the setting. And let me walk through our first use case, a package installation. This is an actual use case I ran into. So we have our accounts, and they have a Chamber of Commerce number, and that was a custom field on the account. But now we're going to validate that data through the actual Chamber of Commerce, and we bought an AppExchange package. But that AppExchange package has its own Chamber of Commerce number field. So we need to make sure that all these values end up in this field. And again, in small amounts, that's very doable. But we have many, many accounts. So without further ado, let's dive into that. Sliced bread, very short for the ones that don't know it. A bread is what we call our data set. So that's the data input. And in order to handle that via Salesforce, we slice that into small pieces. These are the slices. And what do we do with it? The business logic, that's all in our recipes. So let's create a new recipe. Again, we do import, we do export. But today we're going to focus on bulk data actions. And a bulk data action always starts with a query on Salesforce. So let's wait for our builder to load. Here we go. And since we're working with the account object, that's the one we're going to select. And we need that Chamber of Commerce number. This is my Chamber of Commerce number, so I can just build that query by selecting the fields here. Let me quickly check. This is my package version that we need to populate. I want to update all accounts, so I don't even have a where clause, so I can get rid of this and create my recipe. So what happened when we run this, we will query all the accounts and basically create a slice record for every account. And this is where our ETL functionality comes in. So first we're going to extract the values from the records that we queried into our virtual fields. So the account ID, the account name, and the Chamber of Commerce number will be saved. And that's where we can do our magic. In this case, we don't need a lot of transformation. We don't need a lot of business logic because it's literally just updating the same data, just in a different field. So what we're going to do is we're going to update a record. And which record are we going to update? The account that we queried. And what do we want to store? We take our package Chamber of Commerce number, and we're going to populate it with the Chamber of Commerce number that we queried. And that's it. So if I save this record and say copy Chamber of Commerce number to package field, save, then I can activate it. First it will reload. Here we go. Now I can activate it. And then we go back to our home page where we can run this recipe. So it's already selected here. Next. And go. So now Sliced Bread will run that query, get all the accounts, create a slice record for every account, and do that transformation. Well, we don't have a transformation in this recipe. And make sure that everything is ready for us to load it into our account records. So while this is slicing, because it's going to take a while, we have a lot of slices, of course. Let's move on to our next use case. This also runs on accounts, so I'm going to skip this one. But let's go here. Also a situation that might sound familiar for a lot of you. At one point in time, you might run out of formula fields on a certain object. And it's really easy to replace that formula with the text field and automation. And that will take care of any future record updates or new records that will be inserted in your database. But how to convert the data and populate those fields for everything that's already there? It's more of the same. And in this case, we have our contacts. So we have an account name formula. This is a formula field. It just takes the name of the account and displays it. Usually you see this for reporting purposes. But now we want to get rid of this formula field, but we can only do that if we save the value in our text field. So let's do the same. Let's create, as you can see, this is already going pretty fast. Let's create a new recipe. A new one. Again, it's a data action, but in this case, we are going to query all contacts. And what do we need? We need our, well, we could do the account name formula, but let's make it interesting and just query the account ID. We don't need the full name. We need all records, so we're not going to specify any where clause, and create a recipe. So now we only have the account ID, so we need to query the related account. So we're going to query our account, and we're going to not save the account ID because we already have that. We're going to save the account name into our virtual text field account name. And how do we select our account? Well, the account ID should, of course, match the account ID. If there's no query result, we can let it fail, because I know all accounts are accounted for. So based on the account ID that was extracted from our contact, we query the account, the corresponding account name, and now we can update our contact record and populate our account name text field with the account name that was retrieved in our query. And that's it. So save account name in text field. Save. Here we go. Activate. And let's run that recipe as well. Save account name in text field. Go. In the meantime, well, if this loads, there we go. In the meantime, our Chamber of Commerce copy recipe has finished transforming. And this is where we stop, because we don't automatically load everything, because you might want to check what's going to happen before it actually happens. You might have made a mistake. In this case, I'm just going to set it to load. But if you click on this, it will actually open up a report with all the slices where you can see what is going to happen. I'm not going to wait for this because we have a lot of slices here, so this might take a while. Oh. And let's go back home. And as you can see here, this is loading, this is transforming. We're handling about, well, 7,000 records at the same time. We do have a few errors, so we can dive into those. But in the meantime, let's have a look at our next use case. This one is a little bit more difficult. VAT calculation on opportunities. So in our company, offices are excluding VAT. And we have a lot of opportunities, about 120,000. And now we also need the amounts including VAT. We do have a pick list here, that's either 9% or 21%, but these are text values. These are numbers, and we need to calculate the amount including VAT. Well, the easy thing is, for now, all the opportunities are 21%. So that's going to make it easy for us, a little bit easier. So let's create another recipe. Again, a bulk data action. And this time, we'll select all opportunities. And what data do we need? We do need the amount, because that's what we use for calculation. Name we don't need. We don't need a where clause, because we need all of them, because this is applying to all account record or opportunity records. And now we need to do the calculation. So what we can first do is create a formula to calculate the amount including VAT. That will be a number. So let's call it amount including VAT. Since we know that all opportunities will be 21%, we can just take the amount of the opportunity, multiply it by 1.21. Check if it's correct, no errors. We have a playground, because any formula that you build, you want to test it before you actually run it. So let's see if this works. If our amount is 100, then our amount including VAT should be 121, which is correct. Then we can update our opportunity. Our amount, including that field, of course, will be populated with the amount that we just calculated, but we also need to set the VAT percentage. And this is a fixed value, so we don't need to calculate that. And since it's a picklist field, we can select picklist value and set it to 21. Create. And this should be it. Calculate amounts, including VAT on opportunities. Excuse me. Activate. And let's see how our other recipes are doing. The first one has finished. It's done, and since it's done, it's gone from here. And that was updating the Chamber of Commerce number. So here we still have all our accounts open. So if I refresh this, this should be populated, and it is, and all values seem to match. So that was successful. We can close that one. But we do have a few errors here, which I didn't expect. So let's see what happened. Maybe I went too fast, but if you click on the number here for the errors, it'll open up the report with all the errors. Account ID is blank. So we do have many contacts that do not have an account. That is too bad. That's good input, because those are contacts we might want to review because they need an account. But for our use case, we can ignore these ones because they didn't have an account name, so they don't need an account name in our text field. So these are errors, but we can ignore them. So in this case, in order to get rid of those errors, we can go into our drop-down and just say discard failed slices. Okay. But let's see if the recipe did what we expected to do. So this should be populated now. And it's not. So what went wrong? I love it when things go wrong. But that's why we have analytics and why we have troubleshooting. Oh, it's ready to load. Sorry. Nothing went wrong. I did yet. My bad. If you encounter errors during transformation, you first need to solve those errors before you can load the data. That's basically our philosophy. I thought we were already one step ahead, and I loaded the data. Well, let's do that now. And in the meantime, let's also run our amounts including VAT recipe, because that probably also takes some time for 120,000 opportunities. And now we come to our last use case, which is a hell I went through at one of my customers. We needed to activate country and state pick lists. And yes, Salesforce has a wizard, and yes, that is very helpful. But if you write California in literally 375 different ways, except the right one, and you do that for all countries and all states, and it's even that wizard isn't going to help you anymore. So if we look back on our account data, maybe a few sharp eyes had already seen that. Our states aren't really correct. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. We have South Carolina, we have Texas without an A, we have Nevada with double D. Also, untied states. We have the US, we have United States, which is correct. US with dots, without dots, USA. Thank God everything is in the US. So this is something we need to clean as well. So let's create another recipe for that. We use a bulk data action. And again, let's query all the accounts. In the meantime, let me quickly check how this is going. That's still running. The amounts, but our contacts have loaded, so this should be finished now. Yes. We've moved all the account names from a formula field into our text field. Assuming the automation is in place and working, we can get rid of our formula field. This one shouldn't be there. So here we go. We're going to query our account fields. We don't need a name this time, but we do need our billing states and our billing country. Create a recipe. Now, luckily, I have already prepared the formula, but let me walk you through it anyways. So first, we need the output field. Let's say cleaned billing state. That's where we save our output. And we're going to use our case formula. We have many formulas. Most of them are the same you will find in Salesforce to keep everything as similar for you as possible. We do have a few extra. I believe the case statement or formula is available in Salesforce as well. So what are we going to evaluate? The billing state. And basically, it's we take a value. So if the billing state equals Alabama with 2 M's, we can change that to Alabama, the correct value. Now I've prepared this entire list. So let me quickly copy, paste this. So it's a lot of typos. Here we go. Is it valid? No errors. Okay. There's one thing. If this contains a value that is not in this list, we just want to keep it. So in our final statement, we're just going to say, if it's not any of these typos, keep the original value. So let's see, if we type in Texas, it should just be Texas. That is correct. But we also saw we had Texas without an A. That's also correct. So this formula seems to work. Now let's do the same for our billing country. So we have a cleaned billing country. Create. And in this case, we are going to evaluate the billing country that we queried. And let me copy this immediately. And I also have these values ready for you. Otherwise, it will be a lot of typing. So these are all the values we have in our system, and we're just going to map everything to United States. I do need a comma here. Let's quickly check that. We had US. That will be United States. We had US with dots. Same thing. Untied states is a value I saw. Seems to work. So now all we need to do is update the account record that we queried in the first time. And we will put the billing state and the billing country. We're going to save our cleaned versions. Create. And this should do the trick. Clean billing address. Save. And of course, you can copy this logic for any contacts that might have the same issue. Activate. Now let's see. This is ready to load. Let's dive a little bit.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
Anshul seems to have a question.
Sure.
He asks, I suppose this list is made like with current wrong values, but what about future? Secondly, why don't we use picklists altogether?
So this is the situation where you do not have country and state pick lists activated yet. So basically, it's just text fields. This is cleaning the information in order to be able to activate country and state pick lists, because you cannot activate those pick lists, if all the data in your org is not compliant with the pick list values. So that's what we're going to do here. Let me see. Accounts. Let me open the accounts. So currently, we have all kinds of wrong data in our system. And if you want to activate country and state pick lists, here we go. Then yes, you move towards pick list, which is a very good thing. And I might be mistaken, but I think in new orgs this is activated by default, but the old orgs is just plain text fields. So this is what Salesforce has. These are predefined values. Of course, you can change them, you can activate and do whatever you want with them, but these are the defaults. Let me find the United States. Kingdom United States. Edit. So basically, if you want to activate this, all state fields should be populated with values from this list. And once you have cleaned your data, which is what we're doing in our recipe, then you can activate this feature. And from that point on, it will only be pick list values. Does that make sense? And therefore, any future change to any account will always comply to these lists. So you clean it, you activate it, and then the problem is gone. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Perfect. In the meantime, this has opened. So now we are back at our VAT calculation. So if I open any of the slices, then here you see a load plan. This is what we are going to do. We're going to update this opportunity. And currently it has an amount, but no VAT and no amount including VAT. So in the slice, we have our load plan. And you see, we're going to populate the VAT with 21, which was a pick list value. And the amount including VAT is this. So I'm just going to assume that that is correct. And here you have a full history of what happened. So this is our audit trail. We can see that this is the amount that we extracted from our query, which is consistent with what we see here. Then we calculated the amount including that, and that's what we're going to save on that record. I didn't mean to put it in edit mode. So if I just run this one slice, which is usually what I do if I have a large data set, because there might be automation in your org, validation rules, or whatever that generates an error. There might be a mandatory field or whatever. So I always run one or two manually to see if that actually works. It has processed correctly without any errors. So if I refresh this now, this should be populated with the values that we calculated. And here they are. So if it works for one, I know it will work for all. And let me quickly open a new browser window. I'm sorry, I closed one tab too many. So we can start the load of this recipe as well. And while we wait for that, we can clean our billing addresses. That's the one we just did. So let's run that one as well. And wait for it to finish. So as you can see, we can handle large amounts of data at the same time. Actually, our biggest recipe run ever was, I think, 43 million records. And it took about 7 or 8 hours, but everything finished without any errors. 120,000 records done within less than 30 seconds. These are the opportunities. So let's see. Do they now all have a VAT and a VAT amount? Yeah, come on. Let's check opportunities. And here we go. Done. And sales is happy. Now let's wait for all the billing addresses to process. Almost there. There we go. Just waiting for it to jump into ready to load. And in the meantime, let me open up one account. It's ready to load, so let's go. Let's sanitize our data. So we should see no more typos once this is done. And yeah, this may take a while. So in the meantime, while we wait for this, a feature I did not disclose last time, but we've seen the audit trail on our slices, where you can see exactly what happened during the recipe, the decisions that were made, the values that were calculated. But let's say you run a recipe, and a few weeks later, someone comes to you and they say, you made a mistake. Could be a business user, could be your manager, could be whoever. How are you going to prove you didn't? If you use data loader, I mean, yeah, all you see is that there was a change in the values. But at Sliced Bread, we have a record history. So within the context of our record, we can see exactly what happened to that record, who did it, when it was run. So if we open this, we can see that for our account, there was a generate accounts history. I ran this morning at 9 a.m. I generated this account. And the initial run is here. So you can see exactly, I calculated this industry. And in the end, it turned out to be this account name. And I gave it this street name, the billing street, the billing city, the country code, chamber of commerce number that I generated, a deduplication key, because I didn't want to generate duplicate chamber of commerce numbers. And in the end, I created the account with these values. So whenever you run a recipe and it runs on data in Salesforce, or you manipulate data in Salesforce, if you put this history component on your page, you can always trace back who did what, because who, here you see my alias, it was me, at what time. So whenever someone says you made a mistake while cleaning data, importing data, or whatever, you can always go back to the bread history, look for the bread that actually should have been the problem, and see exactly what happened. Even if you were to manually change one of these values before you loaded it, it would be in this audit trail. Now, the reason that our recent runs are not in here yet is we do wait until everything is cleaned up, because all the slices are in the end are cleaned up, they are archived, and only then they become available here. So this might take another 20-30 minutes. But if I look at this record in a few hours or even tomorrow, we will see a list of breads that ran on this account, and you will see that I first copied the Chamber of Commerce number, and that we then cleaned the billing address, and that I did it, when I did it, on what date, and exactly everything that happened. So there's a full audit trail in context on your records. And now this is done. So let's check this one. It's South Carolina in the US. But if I refresh, it should be South Carolina in the United States. Here we go. And that should be the case for all accounts. So if I refresh this, here we go. This looks a lot better. And now we're ready to activate our country and state pick lists. And from that point on, nobody will be able to make typos in billing countries anymore. Let's just sort it to be sure that everything was handled. Yeah, doesn't matter how I sort it, I only have United States. So in a nutshell, 4 use cases. Of course, I did prepare a few things, but we did a lot of work in less than an hour, so to say. Any questions?
Yeah, let's go.
Yes, so the first question from René. What kind of data consumption to expect from the audit trail history?
Data consumption, the audit trail. So you mean the in context on the records? Actually,
Yes.
none. And that is because we did archive that on AWS in the past. But we really want to keep all the data on platform. So what we did is we moved it to files. So in the end, there is a SB log file. Should be here in the org, which is like 1 KB or so, because it's literally one line of JSON string. And we just query all the files and visualize whatever is in there. So no data consumption. There is a slight file consumption. But of course, if you don't need, this is optional, by the way, you don't need to activate the archiving. And by the way, this is the old interface. I still need to update this because Salesforce won't allow us to push updates on the UI of custom metadata types. But I have it enabled. I can also disable it. And then there will be no archiving. In my case, there's an archive delay of 15 minutes. So that's why it wasn't in there, what we just did. So you can turn that off if you want. Usually in production, if you have jobs that run daily or weekly, you don't turn this on. For data migration, I would do it, but usually you turn this on in sandboxes where you are testing your recipe and you want to see what actually happened at a later point in time. I can quickly check. We storage usage. Of course, we have slices, but we do clean them up. But again, there's a 50-minute delay. That's what I set. You can set that to immediately. You can set it to manually. You can do whatever you want. So after 50 minutes, all the breads are processed. So after 50 minutes, all these slices will be gone as well. And if I look at file storage, yeah, I cannot see the file storage, content bodies. Yeah, I cannot see. I think these are, I'm not sure, but I think these are the audit trails. So they will be here, long story short.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have another question from Yuan. Can you schedule these jobs?
Yes. Unfortunately, we have several ways. One is we do have an Apex clause, and it's documented on our website. You just run anonymous Apex with a cron expression, and it will be scheduled. But we've recently introduced recipe jobs, and well, in this case, it's still kind of a bit technical, but let's say daily clean billing address on account. Then it's a data recipe, and you do need to type the name here. So my recipe name. This will be the name of the recipe. We're working on, making a lookup to an actual recipe. And here you have your schedule type. There are more values, but again, we're working on this. So you can put your cron expression here, set it to active, Of course, I need a value there. And you can even check the job overlap policy. So let's say you schedule it every 3 minutes and the previous one is still running. Then what do? Do you allow the new run, so they're both running together, or you fail the new run, or you just skip it, or you cancel the previous one? So the one is already running, you can cancel that, and we'll go with a new one. So yeah, that's how you can do it, and you can even do additional recipes. So as soon as I type one here, then you can do number 3, and this way you can chain a lot of recipes. So yeah, you can definitely schedule that. But we're working on a better interface for this. Technically, it works perfect.
Yeah, thank you so much. Another question from René. Are recipes callable by flow?
Yeah. I mean, it is a Salesforce data model. So if you have this recipe, especially the ones we created today, they are perfect because they don't take any parameters. They don't take anything. You don't need to have a file. Let's say you want to run this one on a daily basis. Then all you need to do is grab the recipe API name, which is this one, copy. And then in your flow, I can actually show you, we can do that. So if you have a flow, come on, and let's make a new one. I'm making a screen flow because it's just easier to quickly do something. Here, what we can do is we can create a record. So create bread, because in the end, I want to change this again. I need a record variable. Where's the option to just choose an object? Okay, I haven't used flow in a while. I'm sorry. So we have a variable, my bread. Data type. That's still a record. That works. We have a sliced bread. Done. Now we can use this one. Of course, we need to do some assignments. Assign bread values. So my bread, there is a recipe. Ooh, there are a lot of things. It's easier if you just do this. Let's give it a name. Can I do a value here? No. Basically, what you want to do is you want to give it a name, and you want to link a recipe version. And the recipe version, it's the name that you just saved. Then what you do is you set the bread status to start slicing, and that's it. So you create a bread. Of course, you need to give it a name, but you link the recipe. You set the status to start slicing, because that's when it actually starts running, and it will run because the rest is in your recipe. It knows what to do. It knows how to what query to perform, what logic to do. The only thing is, if you do that and you want to automate it by flow, there is one thing I would recommend, and that is to go into the settings here and activate auto load. Because after the transformation phase, we stop. And if you want to automate it, especially from a flow, you don't want to go into sliced bread every day and see 40 breads that have transformed and then stopped. So you want to set it into auto load, and then save it and activate it. And then after the transformation phase is done, it will automatically start loading and processing. But yeah, I need to brush up on my flow skills. They've changed this a lot. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Should you have a recipe where you need to use an input file? In that case, create the bread, but with the status new. Use Flow or whatever, a ScreenFlow, for example, to upload a file. Make sure to attach the file to the bread, and then update the bread to status start slicing. Start slicing. So you would have one bread creation, insert the file, make sure it's attached to that bread via content document link, and then update the bread to actually start the slicing. So you can create a screen component where users can run their own breads based on their own Excel files or CSV files or whatever. This is a horrible flow. I'm going to close it.
Yeah, so we have another question. Can you filter object records by child objects? For example, opportunities by opportunity products.
No, not directly. So not top down. You need to go bottom up. So if we do not keep internal tables. So if you do a query, it always results into one record. I cannot say, give me all the contacts belonging to this account, for example. But again, can go through all the contacts and check account values. So if I only need to process opportunities where a line item has a certain value, then I would start querying the line items, go via the line items into the opportunity, and actually do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so next question. Can you walk us through a small example of updating nested records? For example, account and contact.
Sure. A new recipe about data action. Let's combine two of the things we already did. So we need to start at the bottom. So we're gonna update the contact. We're gonna query the contact. Then of course we need the account ID. And well, let's not put a filter on it, but let's say we only do 10, because otherwise it will take a lot. So we do have our contact here, but what are we going to do with the contact? Well, let's do that same account name formula field. Oh, the account name. That's the one we already have. So here we go. Let's query the account, the related account, and let's get a billing country. So we're going to save the billing country in a billing country field. Let's do account billing country. And of course, the account ID should match the account ID from the contact. Great. So now we have a contact and we have an account. Let's first update our contact, and we're going to set the value for the account name text. Sorry, here. And I forgot to query it. There we go. Cancel. So we need the billing country, but we also need the account name. Here we go. Update a record. Update a contact. Then we're gonna populate account name text with the actual account name that we queried. Here we go. Next, we want to update the account. So here we have the account. Sorry, I went too fast. Because I need to do that same logic for billing country. So here we have clean billing country. And let's just update it to United States of America. Yeah, it's a text value, so it needs to be within quotes. No errors. Creates. So now we can also update the account and say billing country will be populated with our clean billing country. Here we go. We can even do other things. So let's do a validation. No, let's create another field, a checkbox. Did billing country change? I know it will always be yes, but that's not the idea. So we have the account billing country that we already had. And if that does not match our clean billing country, then we have a change. True? So in our playground, if this is US and our clean billing country is also US, then this will be false. But if it's USA and it doesn't match, then it will be true. And now we have an indicator we can use. So this update advance, we only do that if the billing country did change. So if it didn't change, the old value and the new value are the same, there's no need to do an update, then this will be false, and therefore this whole rule will be skipped. So this is now conditional. But we can do even more. We can query other information. Let's say an opportunity. This is not a real business case, but let's save the opportunity ID so we can do an update. And I don't know, let's do a nice amount thing. Here we go. And then of course we also need VAT. We'll save that in our fields, amount and VAT. Where? Well, of course, the account ID of the opportunity should match the account that we already had. And in this case, I'm just going to take a random. Any random opportunity for that account will do. If we don't find it, that's okay. We're not going to give an error. And now we can use a formula to create a number, new amount. So we take the old amount and we add 100. Is that correct? So this is 10, should be 110. Yeah, okay. But then, of course, we also need a new amount including that. Amount including VAT, because that still should be in sync. So we take our new amount and we multiply that by 100 plus our VAT. but then we still need to divide that with 100. And to make it even more complex, VAT is a text field, so we're probably gonna need a formula to convert that to a number. Here we go. Returns a number value, from a string. So the number value of the VAT field, here we go. So if our new amount is 100 and our VAT is 21, then this should be 121. That's correct. And now we can also update that related opportunity where we have the amount including VAT, and no, not the amount, the new amount, and the amount including VAT, create. And now we'll update contacts, accounts, and opportunities all in the same recipe.
Thank you so much, Martijn. So we are not going to run this one, right?
Yeah, I can run it. That's perfectly fine. Here we go. Do strange things. It will only update 10 records, so activate, home, run, do strange things. Should only take 10 records, so.
Yeah, thank you so much. So what stands out for me here is that Sliced Bread ETL is a wonderful tool we should learn more about. It's really very, very versatile, and I would finish with a question on the roadmap, Jonas.
Sure.
Yes. Referring to the address cleanup, could you imagine an AI-based or statistics-based transformation function where the similarity of the source to the target is inferred? For example, the similarity of Tex without an A to Texas, like a regex on steroids.
Yeah. It's definitely in the back of our minds. The thing is, we are thinking about a concrete implementation. What we see, let's take this do strange things recipe, because let's say you want to create a record and you want to create an opportunity. And you have a lot of fields here, and we know we have a lot of fields here. You can AI already do the matching, for example. That is something that is on our mind. Even better, and I think what we will see sooner is AI helping you to build those formulas. So it can either be, what does this formula do? So here, create including VAT. I mean, this is moderate complex. But if you get more, how do I say that, longer formulas, when you're a lot of characters, and you hit check formula, you always get an error, you're missing some parentheses or whatever. AI can really help you and suggest a fix for that. And maybe even a text block that says, give me a formula that does XYZ, and have AI generate a formula for you. So it's definitely at the back of our heads, or we're thinking about that. The thing is, how do you do that? We want to keep installation and setup, as clean and easy as possible. So either we would have to determine the LLMs that are being used, and therefore, allow you to set a connection to your own ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. That's a new integration that we need to build. We've been thinking about delivering it out of the box because that's less setup. But then there's a pricing thing involved, of course. Every call to AI just costs money. We can incorporate it with Agentforce, but only if it is enabled in the org. And unfortunately, when you install a package, we cannot determine that. There's no way for us to do that yet. So yes, we are thinking about it. Yes, it's on the roadmap somewhere in the far distance. So it's not so much a question of will we or won't we. It's more how are we going to do it. The use cases are pretty clear, but it's more how do we implement it that it's also future-proof, scalable, easy to set up. That basically it matches our product philosophy.
Yeah, understand the considerations here. So time is flying by quickly when we have fun. I hope you enjoyed the session as much as I did. Thank you so much to our audience, to Jonas, our moderator, to our great speaker, Martijn. Do check out Sliced Bread. It's easy to install. Yeah, and wish you a good rest of the day. Thank you so much. Martijn, the last word to you.
Yeah, I want to thank you, of course, for inviting us back. Entirely different use cases. I think there's still more to tell. I just want to highlight one thing. Using Sliced Bread in Scratch orgs, sandboxes, and developer editions is free. So you can just install it and be on your way. Contact me if you have any questions. Or if you need support, I'm available. And do try it out. But if you install it in production, I'm going to put on my sales hat.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.